another episode of TV Talk with Al and Bale. As you know, I'm Al and that's Bale. Today we're going to be talking about a very motivational subject.
Determination.
To start the show today, we're going to be talking about different people who have faced difficulties through their life and made it through those struggles with determination.
First, we have a TV idol that is a household name. Oprah Winfrey! Okay. Most people know Oprah as one of the most iconic faces on TV, as well as the richest and most successful woman in the world. Oprah faced a hard road to get into that position, enduring a rough and often abusive childhood, as well as numerous career setbacks, including being fired from her job as a television reporter because she wasn't good enough for television.
Next, we have a popular author that made millions in the past decade. J.K. Rowling may be rolling in a lot of Harry Potter dough right now, but before she published a series of novels, she was nearly penniless, severely depressed, divorced, and trying to raise a child on her own, while attending school and writing a novel. Rowling went from depending on welfare to survive to being one of the richest women in the world in a span of only 5 years through her hard work and determination.
One of the best-selling artists of all times, Elvis has become a household name, even years after his death. But back in 1954, Elvis was still a nobody, and Jimmy Denny, manager of the Grand Ole Opry, fired Elvis after just one performance, telling him, "You ain't going nowhere, son. You ought to go back to driving a truck."
Next is a man who has inspired us all with his childhood movies and the place where dreams come true. Today, Disney ranks billions from the merchandise, movies, and theme parks around the world. But Walt Disney himself had a bit of a rough start. He was fired by a newspaper editor because he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. After that, Disney started a number of businesses that didn't last too long and ended with bankruptcy and failure. He kept plugging along, however, and eventually found a recipe for success that worked.
Bill, if he can't make you laugh, I don't know who can. Just about everybody knows who Jerry Seinfeld is. Am I right? Am I right?
You're right, you're right.
But the first time the young comedian walked on stage at a comedy club, he looked out at the audience, froze, and was eventually jeered and booed right off the stage. Seinfeld knew he could do it, so he went back the next night, completed his set to laughter and applause, and the rest is history.
If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the theory of relativity. Most of us take Albert Einstein's name as a synonym for genius, but he didn't always show such promise. He didn't speak until the age of 4.
What?
I know! 4! He didn't read until he was 7. This caused his parents and teachers to think he was mentally handicapped, slow, and antisocial. Eventually, he was expelled from school and refused admittance to the Zurich Polytechnic School. It might have taken him a bit longer, but most people would agree that he caught on pretty well in the end, winning the Nobel Prize and changing the face
of
modern physics.
We have one of the best basketball players in the world. Most people wouldn't believe that a man often lauded as the best basketball player of all time was cut from his high school basketball team. Luckily, Michael Jordan didn't let this setback stop him from playing the game, and he has stated, "I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. On 26 occasions, I was entrusted to take the game-winning shot and I missed. I have failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed." All these inspiring, determined people remind me of a book that I read the other day, Bale.
Whatever could that be, Al?
The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, I've never read it before. Could you explain to the audience how the character in this book shows determination to finish off the show, Al?
Well, Bale, Santiago, the protagonist, is faced with the worst of situations. He is an elderly fisherman who lives in poverty. He is determined to catch a big marlin, but he doesn't let the setback of his poverty and age get in the way of this. He goes through different obstacles, such as a severe hand cramp and fatigue. But he endures all this and catches his marlin.
Wow, what an inspiring story of perseverance and hope. I must put that on my to-read list.
You really should, Bale. And everyone out there in the audience, we're giving you a free copy of The Old Man and the Sea!
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. For next week's episode, make sure you're in because we'll be interviewing the hot stars of One Direction.